Right. Well, so I think whatever activity you do, you're going to have a high frequency of back pain. It's the top of the list. Most common complaint, so-called chronic disease. So it's not just golf, but it's everything back pain is associated with. There are some specific things about golf that it involves quite extreme movements of the spine, and that may be a cause of pain or injury. But it's possible to mitigate that by stretching, by doing exercises before you start, and it helps to have an exercise regime. And you can get these. They need to be tailor-made for you, and it's best got from a physio or sports trainer, chiropractor, osteopath. They will all give you advice on this aspect of injury prevention. I think that everyone can strain their back. I hesitate to use the term injury. I mean, it would be very surprising to produce a spinal fracture, say, with golf. I'm not sure that I've seen that. I mean, if one's got very poor quality bone, very osteoporotic bone, you may produce a fracture with what would normally be considered a fairly trivial event. But it's likely that these injuries are to do with stretching muscles and to stretching ligaments. Muscle stretching, on the whole, the best thing is to keep the muscle active and going. That seems to be the best way to deal with it. But golf certainly does involve those sort of potential injuries, and you can reduce that risk by stretching. First of all, the pre-game stretching. The second thing is to walk around the course and to avoid using golf carts and the like. Whether or not you can carry a bag is perhaps slightly different, and a trolley may be a sensible thing to use. But the walking is important, and then there's also the mental health involved with it. So it helps to have something to concentrate on, like the actual game and your shots, but also your co-players that you're going to be engaging in conversation, humor, all the rest of it. These are things which are good for your physical health as well as your mental health. For most people with back pain, the key thing is to maintain a good level of activity. And it's very tempting if you get an episode of back pain to rest up and to take to your bed. And we've come to realize that this old-fashioned advice is absolutely inappropriate, and it is in practically all cases best to maintain a level of activity. Clearly, there are some people who have got serious problems with their back through a major injury. That may not be necessarily the appropriate advice, but for the vast majority of people who present with apparently spontaneous onset of back pain, it is best to keep active. I think a standard regime of stretching exercises, which has to be custom built. Not everybody's the same, and you go and see different professionals. They'll all give you variable advice, but the main principle is to move your spinal joints through a full range of movement, and you gradually build up to that full range of movement. And it takes a few minutes to do that, and that is really the key stage of prevention. I think the other bit of prevention is to enjoy the game. It is for golfers. It is a very enjoyable game, and this is a massively beneficial health activity because you're focusing on the golf rather than on your back pain. and that seems to me that one of the major health benefits. Keeping your weight down, good diet, all of those things are important too. This standard advice applies to people of all ages. Now, clearly, a teenager or young adult is going to have a much fuller range of movement than a middle-aged or elderly player. But still, the basic principles are the same. And I refer to football, which is, has shown that they can reduce their sports injury for all joints by a pre-regime, pre-game stretching regime, and you'll see professionals doing that now. And that is definitely a way of reducing injuries. Clearly, it's not 100% perfect. You're still going to get injuries, but that warm-up regime is really critical, whatever the sport is that you're doing. There's no question that being overweight is strongly linked to chronic back pain. Now, you may be able to reduce weight by walking around the course, but clearly you've also got to think about your diet, what you do in the 19th hole. All of these things are good for maintaining weight, or keeping your weight down and keeping your body healthy. The BackCare website has got a lot of information about this. It is www.backcare, all one word, backcare.org.uk. And BackCare is really the largest, almost the only charity that's dealing with back pain. So it's a good place to go to start getting information.